Can you make a portfolio in 30 days? Stick around and find out. You might be surprised. Welcome, everybody. My name is Don Giannetti. This is Project 52 workshop. This is Black Friday free workshop that I call the 30-day portfolio planner. And this planner is available for you down below in the comment section. You can just click on it and go and download the PDF planner. You can make copies of it, etc. It's fine. It's yours. The 30-day portfolio planner. Let's talk a little bit about what that means. You can't build an entire portfolio like all of the work that you do in 30 days, but you can, let's think of it as a tab. You can create a new tab for your website. Let's say you're a food shooter and you decided you want to add drinks to your offering. You want to have a tab that says beverages or liquor or something. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about that tab. What you do also genre-wise may impact what you can get done in a short amount of time. If you're an industrial photographer, this probably won't work for you. It would, because you have locations involved, you have schedules involved, et cetera, et cetera. But you can still use the same principles probably over a longer time. If you're a fashion photographer, unless you're in a market where you've got a good modeling agency that will really supply you with people that will, show up, and if you're stuck with model mayhem, this may not work with you at all because you're going to have people not showing up. You've got costs involved for makeup and hair, et cetera. So maybe stretching this out for 2 months would work. But for tabletop, product, still life, jewelry, food, any number of types of genres of stuff. Beer, you could do a beer portfolio, a wine portfolio, beverages, desserts. Let's say you're a food shooter and you don't have a dessert menu on your website. Well, this is the way to do it. This planner will work. It's worked for me. It's worked for me on several occasions. This is a very, I codified this, how I did it about 5 years ago for the Find Photo Clients Now website. But this is what I've done basically for the last 30 years when I needed to build a portfolio. I did the same thing with my graphic design too. So the 30-day portfolio, it's a PDF. That's why it's scrolling like really crap here. And so we're going to start out with planning your shoot. We're going to start out with planning your genre. So again, if you're doing fashion, portraits, anything where other people have to be involved, this overall principle will work, but the specifics may be very difficult to get everybody planned for shoots back to back. So let's choose your theme. And for this, we're going to choose beer. I want to do a beer portfolio, okay? So if I live in a town where there's a lot of breweries, I live in a sophisticated area, that's great. If you don't live in a sophisticated area, maybe you just do beverages, pure beverages, lots of beverage photography, okay? So we're going to do beer. So I'm going to choose my theme and I'm going to gather ideas, okay? I'm going to grab tear sheets. I'm going to grab a swipe file. Swipe file is what you should be this is what we called it. I don't know what people call it today. There's another name and I don't use it. But I call it a swipe file. And we used to have, if we saw an ad that we liked, we saw a model pose in Vogue that we liked, we just cut it out and stick it in a manila envelope and have that. And it's called swipe file, stuff that you can look through for inspiration or when you need some ideas, and it'll pop another idea in your mind. Let's clarify right off the top, we're not talking about copying work. Copying work is a deliberate act of copying. Being inspired by is what we do. And you'll be surprised. You might be inspired to do a beer ad by a jewelry ad. You might be inspired to do a jewelry ad from a food shot. You might be inspired to do an industrial shot from a fashion shot that you saw. It's just a little trigger that triggers other things to trigger them multiply like that, and you end up with your photograph. Some of the photographs that have inspired me, and I've made photographs, you would never know what inspired them. It wouldn't even make sense to you, maybe. And sometimes you do try to do it. Let's say you see a black Guinness bottle and a black Guinness and in the nice head and foaming and everything. You think, well, I think I'll do a black Guinness ad. That's fine too. You're not going to recreate their ad. You're going to do it your own way. And that's the important thing. But they triggered your brain. Okay. And that inspiration that you've researched, I really think that when I think of a swipe file, I think of ads and published work. When I think of inspiration, I think of stuff that I've seen online, do a screenshot of something. Oh, that's really cool. I'm going to stick it in my online swipe file. Some people use Pinterest. Some people use Milanote, whatever it is that you use to keep track of it. It's nice to have that body of work to go back and look at. So we need about 30 to 50 of these that we really like. We need about 30 or 50 that we say, these are the ones that really inspire me, make me want to shoot. And I always ask myself when I'm looking at something, if it's inspiring, I think, would I have loved to shoot that photograph? Would I have been excited to make that picture? And if the answer is yes, I think I've got a strong possibility. Our goal is 24 to 32 images. That's what I call a portfolio right there, 24 to 32 images. So 24 on the light side, 32 on the heavy side. If you end up with 36, good for you. If you end up with 30, good for you. If you end up with 18, you got work to do. As an art director, I want to see between 24 and 32 images. However, as an art director, I will also tell you, I've probably made up my mind by 10. Do you follow? When I see these people with 300 images on a website under one tab, and I've seen that, I get like, I don't even get to the end. I'm going to make up my mind in the first 10 images, but I would like to see 24 to 32. If you show me 60, I may not even get to the end. You understand that? I'm busy. I don't have time to sit there and gander at, 6 dozen of your images. But if we have 30 to 50, we've got more than enough to help make our choices for these 24 to 32. Now, what I do is make small prints of everything you got, just make small prints. You can do it with Adobe's. Adobe Photoshop has a thing called a contact sheet. It's called Contact Sheet 2. And you can put all of your images in a folder and then run Contact Sheet 2 against that folder. And Contact Sheet 2 will bring you back whatever you ask it to, 4 rows of 3 across or 3 rows of 4 across or whatever, that'll fit whatever paper you want. If you want to do an 11 by 17, do that. And it'll automatically line them up and print them. And you can cut them out, make little tiny prints yourself, or you can take them down to, Sam's Club or Walmart or wherever you go and get 4x6 prints made. Those are pretty darn cheap as well. These little tiny prints are going to give you something physical to look at, and physicality is important here. Okay. I cannot judge a portfolio online. I cannot edit a portfolio online. Maybe I would say this, maybe I could edit a portfolio online, but I don't want to edit a portfolio online. I don't think I can do a good job, because when you're going from image to image to image to image, you start forgetting what the image far away was. And it all matters when you're editing. So you make these little prints and you lay them out, put a piece of tape on them and tape them to a whiteboard, a little sticky board, I've got a whiteboard here I'm pointing at that you can't see. So it's over there. You just put them up there, and then you can move them around a little bit to see which ones work for you. We're going to take into consideration your capabilities. I got a hand from David. David, do you have a question?
That was an accidental click.
Oh, okay. You're going to have all these little prints. You're going to move them around, get them in position. And remember that it's based on your capabilities. So we're going to, hopefully, before you get to this point, eliminate those shots you can't do. And everybody has shots that they can't do. Maybe you don't have the room to do those shots. Maybe you're inspired by a beautiful statuesque model wearing 4 dozen pairs of pearls. Well, that's really cool, but you don't have a model. If that inspires you to do something different that you can do, great. But photographers forever have set themselves up to fail by deciding they want to do a shot that they can't do. They don't have the gear, they don't have the location, they don't have something, and they go, yeah, I was going to work on my portfolio, and I had this great idea about this, 6-foot tall blonde in a fur coat with a panther next to a Ferrari overlooking Rio. It's a great shot. Yeah, but you live in Nebraska. I know, I don't know a model, I don't have a Ferrari, and I can't fly to Rio, and so I don't work on my book. That's resistance sitting on your shoulder going, I just made you fail, right? Pick the stuff you can do, know you can do it, and then set your goal. All right? So that's what we do. We got our little things. I call it a Fotolio. If you're familiar with my work, I call it a Fotolio. It's not a portfolio, it's a fake thing. And we create our grid. We've taken those 50 images that we have, we've come out, and now we've got 24 or 28 shots, and we've said, we're going to do these shots. We're going to do these right here. Now, when I say we're going to do the shots, it doesn't mean we're going to copy that picture, right? We've already talked about, we're not going to copy that picture, but that picture is a beer and a burger and some fries. And it may be done pretty terribly. Okay. We're doing a beer with a burger. And maybe instead of fries, you have coleslaw, or you have fries, but you do them different. You have a different beer. You're going to have a different burger right off the bat. So you're going to do a beer, burger, fries shot. Great. That's it. That goes in there. And by the way, even if you did copy the shot, and when you go out there, if you Google beer, burger, and fries, you're going to find that there's a lot of pictures that look just like everybody else's, because some people think there's only so much you can do with beer, burger, and fries. I happen to think you could do some pretty killer stuff with beer, burger, and fries if you let yourself out of the box. Take the box and fold it up and leave it on the doorstep. Try something new. Photographers have always tried to do this in their head. They go, oh, I've got the shots I need right here in my head. Yeah, good luck with that. That doesn't work. You get down the road and you're forgetting this and you're forgetting that. Here's what you do. You work it out on paper, analog and your brain working together. It's going to be way, way better. Way, way better. And if you're totally, digitized, he's like, I don't do analog at all. Okay, that's fine. Computer, notes, and brain will keep it all in mind. If we're going to do this in 30 days, we don't have time for a lot of wasted time, right? So I would imagine this is going to take you about 5 days. Put all this stuff together, make prints, move them around, throw some away, add some more, until you get down to that 24 to 32 images that you want to do. Then we make our shot list. The shot list is where we know what we're going to do, and now we have to commit to what do we need for each one of these shots to get them ready. You cannot say, okay, well, I'm going to do this. We're going to do beer. I'm going to do this beer shot and I'll just go and get the stuff I need when I'm ready to shoot it. Yeah. Have you ever gone out looking for something specific that you've seen a million places, and then when you're looking for it, you can't find it ever? You know, think of a beer stein. In your head, you got, oh yeah, it's a big glass beer stein. Everybody's got those. No, they don't. Not when you're looking for it, they don't. They may have had it 5 years ago, but now it's impossible to find. So you got to start putting your stuff together now, because when it comes to shoot time, the week of the shoot, the week and a half of the shoot, you don't have time to go out looking for stuff you didn't get. And if you try to do it one shot at a time, you will stop because it will be too much friction. All of us have different levels of friction that we can deal with. You know, what gets in our way, you know? I don't want to drive. Some people, I know, I have friends in Montana. For them to get in a truck and drive 65 miles for dinner is no big deal, right? I have friends in Pasadena that won't drive more than 4 blocks for dinner. So everything becomes relative. Where's your level of friction? We want to eliminate as much of this friction as we possibly can. And so how do we make it easier on ourselves? And that is to do all the shopping, et cetera, at one time. You go down to Goodwill or Salvation Army or the junk store near you, and you're looking for props for your beer. Oh, that's a cool stein. That's great. So mark it down. You've got the stein. You've got 2 steins. You've got an old bottle cap thing that you got at the antique fair. And you start putting all this stuff together. So you have shopping days, putting together days. You're going to go into the garage or into the storeroom and find out what you have, what you already have. And then you're going to make lists. And I'll show you that in a second. Once again, we talk inspiration versus copying, because I know there's somebody out there that we still got to this point right now who's thinking that I'm saying we should copy somebody else's work, and I'm not doing that. No, be inspired by. And you can't copy it anyway. You can't build the burger the same way they did. And if you did, it would be so deliberate and painstaking. What would you end up with? A second-rate copy of something someone else did. There's no point in it. The shot list details what you need. It details what you could be ready for. You can actually go so far, if you have the room, to actually stage these things. And remember, you went over to the Goodwill and you got 2 steins. You got a clear stein and a black stein. You could probably get away with using those 2 steins in 2 photographs each, right? So you've got your steins for 4 shots. So can add, make sure that you've got your things, and you can make sure you can stretch them out. If you use that black stein at 24 pictures, if you use it in 6 of them, that's not going to work. That's just not enough variety. The idea is we want to shoot this portfolio in 30 days. We don't want it to look like we did it in 30 days, okay? I don't think anybody cares, by the way, if you do it in 30 days or 30 months. But the point is, today things move fast. I helped a photographer do an entire beer portfolio for her website in 2 weeks. She had 36 shots in there, got her jobs. I helped someone do a dessert dessert menu for her site. And we got that down to about, I think she ended up with 38 or 42 shots, something like that. That was great. And we did it in like a week and a half. But we planned it for 2 weeks. The shooting took a week and a half. So while you're gathering props, grab that little extra serving spoon that was, $1, and those bottle caps, those antique bottle caps that are sitting over there. You think, yeah, I'm going to do a couple of antique shots. Hey, grab a couple of those bottle caps that are 25 cents a piece or whatever. You can't do this. I'm not saying you can do it, shoot a 30-day portfolio and not spend some money, but you're going to spend it anyway, no matter whether you do it over 6 months or 30 days. You're going to end up buying props, etc. If you're a food shooter, you're going to buy props. If you're a jewelry shooter, you're going to be buying surfaces. You're going to be looking for black slate and shiny black and marble and etc. All these different surfaces. If you're a product shooter, you're going to be looking at what your style is. If your style is clean white or clean black or gradient color, you're going to be looking at those surfaces. You probably won't be looking for props unless you're a photographer who does highly propped work, where the toaster is not sitting there as a product, but the toaster is sitting there as part of a kitchen layout. Different strokes for everybody, right? This is an important thing, and we're going to hammer this home as we discuss it. You're going to need a place to work, and you're going to need a month of time. So your significant other, your family, your roommate, whoever, they're going to have to buy into this for 30 days. You're going to, move the furniture in the living room, and you're going to put bins or whatever of your stuff in there so that you can grab what you need when you need it. What I do these days when I'm grabbing stuff at the Goodwill is I actually hold it up and make a snap. Boom. Make a snap of it. Gray plate with silver edge. Boom, it goes into my folder plates. Antique bottle goes into my antique bottle stuff. And now I know I've got that bottle. And then you've got that with you. So if you're sitting there thinking about your shots, you can open it up, go through your plates. Oh yeah, that's right. I got that cool plate. You go find it in the plate drawer, plate box, or wherever you put it. Keeping everything organized as best you possibly can. Here is a sample. This is what I use. I stuck it in here for you guys. I had to change the font and stuff, but I stuck it in here for you guys, but this is what I use. I give the shot a name or a number. I'm used to working with shot numbers, and sometimes I'll do that, but if it's just for me, I'll just put my own name in there, chicken on gray plate with beer, what have you. But something goes in here to tell you what shot it is. Then you list your props. These are the major props. I need the gray plate with the silver edge. I need that black beer stein. And I need the two antique pieces of silverware that I shot. Other things like the surface and stuff we'll talk about down here, surface possibilities. I could do this on marble. I could do it on old wood. Old wood. Ooh, I need to get some old wood. Right? So having gotten the old wood in advance, thinking I may need old wood, then I've got it. So I'll put my major props here. And then special tools or techniques needed. This is where I go, you know what? Maybe I'm going to focus stack this. Yeah, I think I'll focus stack that. So that's a special technique. It's going to remind me to focus stack it. Special tools. I need to tilt shift to do this the way I want to do it. To get the angle I want on this bottle, I need a tilt shift lens. Okay, then make that happen. This is where it's really fun. This is where I get a lot of pushback from well-meaning people who say, well, I'm not a good drawer. You don't have to be. You don't have to be Picasso. All you're doing is making your brain think about the photograph beforehand. That's all you're doing. So you go, okay, I'm going to do my beer shot, and I'm going to have a table right here, and I've got this cool bowl that's going to go like that, and I'm going to put my black beer stein over here. That's cool. And then right here, I'm going to have this like chicken quarter, a chicken quarter coming out like that. That's cool. So what's the first thing I think about? Well, what's my light going to look like? Well, I want a nice big highlight down the side of this, and I want a little highlight over here so we can see that. Oh, and by the way, the foam on the top is going to be dripping down the side of the thing. All right, so that's what I've got. Well, I got to think about the front here. So I'm shooting straight across. You see, I see absolutely no surface. What does that mean? That means I need a tilt shift. I need a tilt shift to get to that angle right there. I can do a faux tilt shift by using a, putting it right in the middle of the picture and then cropping off the bottom half. But I need a tilt shift to get the angle I want on this. Or maybe I don't. Maybe I can just use this. But if I'm going to do this, what's this surface going to be? It's going to be old wood. Okay, I'll go with old wood. I'm going to put an old wood thing here. What's the light on this? Is this going to go dark? Is it going to go light? Might have a gradient across it? Well, I've got my highlight coming from over here. Yeah, I'm going to put a little bit lighter to darker gradient here. Yeah, a little darker light gradient there. That's fine. Background, I might put a little bit of a spray light back behind it, but the background is going to go black. Okay. I just lit it. To get this highlight, I got a big soft box over here. To get this highlight, I got a white card over here, because I have this thing and I want to take this in gradient. I'll put an octabox facing flush with it. So it's just leaking light in on the feather of the light coming in. And I'll probably have to do a few more things to it as I'm shooting, but I just lit it. When you make a drawing, you have to think of the light. You have to. It's part of the act of creating that sketch is where am I going to put my light? So this sketch, which is, if I showed this to somebody else, they'd go, I don't know what that is. I do. It's chicken and a beer and a plate, right? I know what it is. They don't have to know what it is. I did it, and it made me think. The more you think about what you do, the better what you do comes out. They did studies where they took two groups of good basketball players, already good basketball players, and they knew the numbers of their free throws. They knew what their stats were as a group. They had these 5 free throw players go out and practice for an hour every day, practice their free throws. This group of people thought about free throws for 30 minutes. They thought about it. They did it in their head. They visualized the free throws, and then they practiced for 30 minutes. I don't have to tell you, that team, that group of people went up by about 6 percentage points over the other people because they focused their brain on what they're doing. One of my favorite examples is Tony Robbins asked a sharpshooter if he could hit the bullseye on the first shot. This is an Army sharpshooter. And of course he said, yes, I can do that. And he gave him the gun and he put a hole right dead. I mean, it was center of the center hole. I mean, it was dead on, right? And then Tony Robbins says, well, can you do that 100 times in a row? And the guy said, oh, I don't know if I could do that. Well, that's the wrong answer. If you can do it once, can't you do it 100 times? Because every time you do it, it's one time. But our brains aggregate things. The more you think about something, the better you get. So he had the people practice in their heads hitting 100 targets, going through the whole motions. Your eyes are closed, you bring the gun up, you aim and pull the trigger. They went from like 75% to like 90% in a week because of visualization. That's all we're asking you to do here. Make a little sketch, pencil, pen, marker, doesn't matter. And then over here, you talk about your lighting style. So I'm going to need, some soft boxes. I'm going to need a scrim. I'm going to need a octabox for up front here. I might need a spotlight and soft shadows. I'm going to use soft. This is the aesthetic part, soft light. I don't want any hard shadows in here. Now I'm ready to go. Now I'm ready to shoot it. I'm actually ready to go ahead and go into the studio and shoot it. And notice I said chicken leg, not turkey. We overcooked yesterday. We have enough turkey left over for 5 more Thanksgivings, and I'm not a big turkey fan. But anyway, the shoot schedule, and this is where things get rough for most of us. Shoot schedules are hard. Some of us are working part-time. Some of us are shooting full-time. Some of us are really stressed for time. So how do we do it? We plan it. It is a priority. It's in your schedule. You tell your friends, family, loved ones, whatever, I'm working this day. If you can shoot full-time, you can probably shoot 4 images a day, and you're done with this shooting this portfolio in about 8 days. About 8 days. We're not editing. We are not editing our pictures. We're gonna check for focus. We're gonna check for sharpness. We're gonna check for color, that stuff, because we're probably shooting tethered. If you're not shooting tethered, start shooting tethered. If you don't have the stuff to shoot tethered, Christmas is on the way. Tell whoever's going to get you something for Christmas, you've got to shoot tethered. I don't care if it's to a laptop, to a desktop, to what's that little one that works on the iPad, somebody, a Cam Ranger, whatever. You want to see those pictures as you're doing it. So you're going to know that your pictures are sharp and your focus stack and all that stuff work, but we're not going to, quote, post-process them at that time. We're not going to edit. We're just going to shoot. If you're, excuse me, if you're a natural light shooter, you're gonna be, you only have half the day to work with. Or if you're in North America, we have, a third of the day to work with, because that's as much light we have. If you have a studio that faces west or east, you're going to have sun coming in the window. If it faces south, you're going to have sun coming in the window most of the day. So you'll have to have scrims or whatever. If you have a north-facing window, then you can shoot all day of all times of the day. All of this is going to make a difference on how you schedule your shots. And you're going to have to go back to your shot list and go, I can do this in the morning, I can do this in the evening, and then you plan it out. Sound like a lot of planning? It is a lot of planning, but it's the only way to make this work. If you're shooting what I call creative lighting, our own stuff, we brought our strobes, we brought our gear. If we're shooting that, we can shoot pretty much any time of the day or night. If you're working part-time, evenings and mornings, if you're working full-time, you have part-time shooting. You have mornings or evenings. And if you're doing evenings, 2 shots. 2 shots. That means no TV, means maybe burgers and stuff, 2 shots. If you can do that, you can shoot it all in 2 weeks. If you use the middle weekend of 4 shots a day. Now, how important is this? Well, it's really important. If you're finding that you need a beer portfolio and it can increase your business if you have a beer portfolio, this is really, really important. This is much more important than TV. It's more important than hanging out. It's just, this is your job. This is your job in a nutshell, is to do this stuff and be ready to show it to people. So the important thing is that you schedule it. You know when you're going to do the shots. You plan them out. You have your gear and everything ready to go. Don't put your gear away. You've got to have a place where your gear can stay up. You put your light up on your C-stand or your boom, et cetera, et cetera. Push it to the side if you have to. But if you have to, go down to the basement, trudge up a flight of stairs, set up all your gear, take it out of the boxes, set it up, do a photograph, pack it up and take it down. Friction will go, nope, not happening. And you'll find 1,000 other reasons why you can't do it. You have to make this as frictionless as possible so that your entire focus is on making those images. That's what it has to do. So you can certainly do this in the time frame. Pro tips, hydrate, but that's a pro tip for pretty much everything. Do only inspection edits. We're not going to take them into Photoshop and Lightroom and start doing our, let's grab this and let's do this to it. That's not what we're going to do. We're just going to look at it and go, is this a workable image? Yes, it's a workable image. Great. Boom. Goes into the, if you're in Lightroom, goes into it's a 5-heart image. If you're working in Capture One, you do the same thing there. So that when you come back, you can get all your 5 hearts and get to work. So you would do that kind of inspection, but not the other stuff. Keep your images organized. Maybe by day, maybe by this is a beer, this is a burger, this is what have you. Make your schedule a priority. It can't be, so if you have to plan this out for as far out as March, then do that. But know that you're going to have 2 weeks of uninterrupted shooting time. Okay. And most importantly, when you feel like quitting, and you will, don't. Just don't. I tell this to every photographer who decides to go in to be a professional photographer. There will be days when you will want to quit. There will be days when you've suffered through terrible client relations, terrible setbacks, nothing's going right, and you will want to quit. Understand that that is absolutely perfectly normal. Just put the stuff down, get in the car, take a road trip, go spend time with your mom, whatever you want to do, but don't quit. Don't quit. Is there a time when someone should quit? Yes, of course. But you're not there because you got a bad day. I mean, if the guy's coming to evict you from your home, you may have missed that quit point. It may have been a little bit previous to where you are right now. But if you just have a bad day, if you just have a bad shoot, remember all the great shoots you had and don't quit. Post-process edit schedule. This is where we start making the images happen, okay? And this is really individual to everybody. I don't know how fast each one of you are at post-processing. Jennifer may spend an hour per image. Matt might spend 5 minutes per image. It has to do with your style. It has to do with the kind of work you did. It has to do, are you shooting composited images? So you shot the beer, and then you shot the burger, and then you shot the top of the burger, and then you shot the glass, and then you shot the beer head on the top. That's going to be a longer edit than if you got it in one take. Neither side is better than the other. That makes no difference. If you got it in one take, good for you. If you need to composite it, good for you. But the compositing is going to necessarily take longer. The thing I want you to remember is we're only asking you to do 32 images in a month. Jennifer is a budding pro photographer in Miami. I hear that she is the best photographer in Miami. Now, that's what I was told. But Jennifer, 30 pictures in a month, you do that more than that for clients, right? I got to tell you, I mean, Teresa in Montreal, Teresa is delivering about 95 pictures a month to different clients. So we're only talking about 30 here, folks. If it takes you, 4 hours each to do your imagery here, you got to speed that up. Because if you had a moderately good month, you're going to have more than that to do, and you'd be killing yourselves in post-editing. That doesn't mean if you do a lot of compositing, well, Don, my pictures take about 4 hours a shot. Okay, then your style probably precluded you from doing this. And you're going to have to stretch it over 60 days. Okay, the style precluded you from doing it. So that's where we stand. You're going to set yourself up a schedule just as rigorous as your shooting schedule and try to do everything according to plan, etc. Let's jump back to the shooting for a moment, because I want to remind you something. You've got the hamburger, you got the beer, you got the fries, you got the stein of beer, all that. You got all that there. You're not going to do just one picture of that. You're going to do a close shot. You're going to do maybe change the angle a little bit. You're going to come in really tight on the burger. You're going to come in really tight on the beer. Maybe you find a reflection of the burger in the beer, and that's really cool. You're going to wring each photo, you're going to wring it dry of possibilities, as many possibilities as you can. There's 2 reasons for it. Number one, if you just do the one shot, you miss all the practical possibilities that could have happened from that shot. And number 2 is when you do an analog portfolio and all of my P52 people will at some point do a printed hold in your hand portfolio. You can't have all the same pictures on your website in your portfolio. No one cares. So you need a good set of images. Maybe the far away shot of the burger and the stein is in your portfolio and the close-up is on your website. They can overlap about 20%. About 20%. So if you had 40 pictures in your website, in your analog portfolio, maybe about 12 or 15 could overlap, but the rest of them have to be new. Otherwise, there's no reason to go and show that portfolio. Portfolio showings are very big right now because people are wanting to get out of the house and go and meet people, right? Things to remember: is your post-processing bringing your images together? Do you as a photographer have a color palette that you're using? If you don't, ask yourself why. And if you say, well, this is the reason and it's a valid reason, good. You don't have to. But I say it's something to look at. Do you have a color palette, something that distinguishes your work? Do you have texture? Does your work, when you finish it, look like a body of work? In other words, I could look at it and go, oh yeah, David shot all these pictures. I look at his portfolio by David Hayden and go, absolutely, these are David's pictures. Everything ties it together, right? Or am I going to look at it and I'm going to see a collection of pictures that someone did? A collection of pictures is not a body of work. Take it to its simplest form. A collection of pictures is a butterfly, a bird, a canyon, a portrait, a beer shot, a drone shot, a picture of a boat. That's a collection of pictures. When we have all these beer shots, all these different types of beer stuff, that's a body of work. Can we make it even stronger by using a color palette? Possibly. Are you color grading your work? I don't know what the answer is, but you have to think about it. Color grading is really, really big now. It's one of those things that gives us the option in our photography that we have never had before. We never had it with Ektachrome, or, you could color grade your slide film by which type of film you bought, but that was it. That was it. There was no, we couldn't separate colors and do different things to them. So right now, color grading is very, very big. Does that matter to you? Your answer may be no, and that's okay as well. But just know that right now, it's really, really big. Are you using some of the modern techniques? I would say for a food shooter, a beer shooter, a jewelry shooter, tabletop shooter, you've got to know how to focus stack. You must know how to focus stack. So you've got, there's your option right here, your opportunity to get your rails or whatever you use for focus stacking out and do some focus stacking, because it's a way of setting your work apart. Are you doing multi-image compositing, where you take a shot of the beer, then you get a shot of the foam, you get the perfect foam and you can put it on the beer? If you don't know how to do that, we learn how to do that before we jump into this and then do it. There's plenty of places to learn that. Using color gels, all of that matters. It matters a lot in providing your way of seeing, your way of using the materials in your body of work. And lastly, I want to say this: to do this seems like a really daunting thing, but I think when you jump into it, you'll realize that by doing the planning up front, which is the heart of this thing, doing the planning, the execution becomes easier and the editing becomes even easier than it was before. So it seems like a really daunting thing, but we're doing it very much like someone would write a book. And if you ever think about writing a book, that's a daunting task. When they look at you and go, yes, well, a novel is generally 75 to 125,000 words. And you go, what? I can't sit down and write 75,000 words. Well, the question is, can you write 1,000 words a day? Oh yeah, I can do that. Well, 1,000 words a day is 75 days. That's 2.5 months. So you can write a book. You just write it 1,000 words a day. You can do a portfolio. You just plan it and shoot 4 pictures a day. So that's it. You can download this PDF if you'd like and share it with your friends. I don't care. It's something to help photographers grow. So I have time for questions. I think if we have a lot of people asking one time, I'll say, let's use the hand. But if we just have a few questions, we'll go with that. Who's got a question?
No question, but thanks for taking the picture of the preps. I have 3 closets full of preps, and every once in a while, I'll spend a half an hour trying to find that one thing that I want. So I think I'm going to work on cataloging my props a little bit more too.
Judy went so far as to buy those little teeny labels, and she actually gives all her props. Like a P would be plate, P, 01, takes a photograph on her iPhone, stores them in her folder, and then when she looks the P01, she can go over to where the plates are and she has them in order. Now, I'm not a professional food shooter like Judy is, but that's how detailed she is, because she realizes that the time you spend looking for stuff you don't know where it is, for me, it's astronomical. I wish I discovered the organizational part of myself 30 years ago, because I sucked at organization. I'd have people call and ask for something like, other than job tickets. My job tickets were impeccable from the very first day I worked. They're impeccable. But other stuff like, I left my camera bag sitting on a trolley car in San Francisco.
Oh, geez. Had to be a while ago because it wouldn't be there today.
Well, they told me at the time, they said that's not going to happen. So it was an hour and a half before I realized, I realized I didn't have that thing hanging on me. And I thought that it had to be the trolley car. So I ran over the trolley car. My friends are going, dude, don't waste your time. I went over there and I said, did you guys find a camera? And he goes, what kind? I said, Nikon. He said, how many lenses? I said, there's 4 lenses. He says, this it? And I said, yeah. Hand me back my camera bag. And I could hear the universe ticking. That's your free one. That's your free one. Don't do it again, because you don't get number 2.
Hey, Don, I was going to say, I think that Judy even has a web gallery of her inventory of like plates and accessories. So that way, when she's consulting with clients, she gives them the URL and they can go through and look at like different ideas.
Yes, I believe you're right. Yep.
Don, quick question.
Yes, sir.
On the, you said there's a document in the comments section. I can't seem to find it.
On YouTube.
Okay.
On YouTube. This will go up on YouTube and it'll be down in there. I'll still link this from from Facebook as well, David.
Thank you.
Yeah. No questions?
Hey, Don, I have a question.
Sure.
Could you explain color grading a little bit to me? Because when I think of color grading, I think of using a color card and color matching,
No, color grading is actually controlling the different values of your image. Did you ever see The Matrix, David?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The background is blue. The people are orange.
Okay.
That's done in post. They didn't light it with blue gels and orange gels. They did it in post so that they could keep all the blue the same. It's controlling your highlights, making your highlights warmer and your shadows cooler, or making your shadows warmer and your highlights cooler. There's a lot of YouTubes on it. But and I think I just linked one. I think if you go up to the Project 52 under the daily videos,
yeah, I think
there's one in there that'll show you. You can color grade in Photoshop. You can color grade in Lightroom, and Capture One. Everybody is now letting you do it. I find the easiest way to color grade is Lightroom at this point. They're little dials. You can really do it. And then you can save those dials, your color grading, and save that as your own preset. So then you don't have to do it every time. You can do it and then tweak it. So.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I do a little bit of that with, I'll pick a color channel if something's not blue enough or red enough, but I don't, yeah, I'll look at the video some more. Yeah, okay.
I use it. I have another method that I'll quickly say. I use film emulation software. In other words, like you can, like Real Nice Images, RNI, they have all these presets that will make your picture look, in quotations, look like you shot it on a specific film. Like they'll take an image, they'll look at Fuji Superior 200, for instance, and they'll look at how the blue skies and work and how the reds worked on it, and they'll take that color palette and make a preset so I can take my picture, apply it, and have it look fairly closely, and from my own testing, damn close to if I'd shot it on Superior. And I can tell you that they are pretty much dead on with most of their negative and slide films. They're really, really dead on. I have a bunch of Velvia slide film that I shot landscapes on. And I can hold that landscape up here and click it over here, and the blue, your shadow mountains a long ways away would go very blue, and really blues and really bright greens. They do a really great job. So to make a long story short, I can go up and shoot the Grand Canyon, come back and apply one of those film emulations to all my shots, and now everything matches. That portfolio matches. The skies are the same blue, et cetera, et cetera. And that's one way that I use a little bit of, color control and match all the stuff up. And it works really like a charm. Cool. By the way, who knows the very first movie that was color graded? Who knows what it was? What was the very first movie that they ever color graded, and it cost them a freaking fortune?
Was it Gone with the Wind?
Non-animated?
Yeah, no, non-animated film.
Maybe The Godfather.
Oh, brother, where art thou?
Oh, brother, where art thou? With George Clooney.
Oh, well.
Very first color graded image. With Lord of the Rings, everything is color graded. That's one of my favorite movies ever, is the trilogy Lord of the Rings. If you go, you'll notice that the sky is the same color blue. No matter where you are, it's the same color blue. The dirt is the same color brown. The trees and the Shire and all that stuff are the same color green. That can't happen when you're shooting a film and you have a slightly hazy day, you have a bright sunny day, et cetera, et cetera. That you're going to get different color. And they went through it. They did it in Photoshop. They Photoshopped every single frame of Lord of the Rings.
Looking forward to Peter Jackson's Beatles documentary.
I just read a review on it by someone who's already seen it. I don't know how they got advanced, or I don't know if it's out yet, but he was saying it's just unbelievably cool.
Well, I think the right guy got the right subject.
Well, he bought it, right? He bought the rights. I think.
Yeah, he owns the months. He owns the footage. Yeah.
The Beatles, if you don't know, the Beatles hired a cameraman, had a crew, actually, a camera crew, to follow them around because they were getting ready for their next big concert, which never happened. Ended up being, on the roof, and then everybody left their separate things. But they followed him around, and the guy shot 80 hours of film. 80 hours of 35 millimeter film with a big ass, like airy, right? And 120 hours of audio. And Peter Jackson bought it and edited it into, I think it's 4 hours or something like that. 4-hour documentary that everybody is raving about. Like you get to see these guys behind the scenes, you know, cutting up, being angry at each other, putting each other down seriously. It was weird. But anyway, I'm looking forward to that as well. Any other questions? Here's my ask for you, and this is my ask for you folks that are here, and for anyone who's watching this. My ask is, if you do this, let me know. Let me know. Let me go see what you did. I'd love to do it. I'll drop a little note to you after I do it. So, you know, just send me a little email or just reply at the bottom of the YouTube video here and put a comment and say, hey, Don, I did this and this is the URL. Take a look. I'd really love to see it. Like I say, I know it works and I know you can do it. Just got to put your mind to it and it'll happen. And for those of you watching on YouTube, I have a class called Project 52. There's a link down below as well. It's a one-year class training photographers to be professional photographers in the commercial industry. And I've got a lot of Project 52 people sitting right up here on this thing, with Audie and Daniel and Jennifer, Andrea, Joe, on and on and on. And I thank them for coming. If you're interested, click the link below. It's a great class. And following on a little bit from now, there'll be a roundtable discussion with some of our working members and find out what's going on in the real world out there, not Facebook. So if there's no other questions, I'll say goodbye and thank you all for coming. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Don. Have a good one.
Have a
Thank
great
you,
one.
Don.
Yeah, take care, everybody.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you very much. Thanks.